Well, this was the scene last weekend after ORU danced to the Sweet 16. They weren't content then, and they have only grown hungrier.
Well, for OSU fans, this has got to be just about the greatest sight in the world. See, being a visual learner, I wanted to see what his favorite one-on-one drill looked like, and it turned out about as expected. In OU's Pro Day, there are a couple guys that are basically guaranteed to go in the draft, and then there are those that needed to raise some eyebrows. And two guys on the defensive line did just that, both Tulsa natives, Isaiah Thomas and LaRon Stokes. All right, the Big 12 tournament begins this week, the 8-9 game being played on Wednesday. Now, a couple weeks ago, it seemed basically certain OU would be playing in that game, but they go on a 3-game winning streak. We're heading to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. ORU knows how to win in this building, and they were storming out the gate. It actually took 2 minutes, though, for the first 3 of the game, but Francis Lotsis delivered. And then the Leathernecks learned why they call this guy Mid-Court Max from the logo. We all knew who he was. Brennan Presley burned everyone as a Spartan, but his freshman year at OSU was quiet. Not anymore. 12 of the last 14 matchups have been decided by 2 scores or less. The series coming into tonight, dead even at 12-12.
We got a bunker on the left side of the fairway. Plays a little uphill wind, you know, it's a 240, 250 shot. When I came out and did it, I just fell in love with it. 58 pin, 34 to carry.
Dan Griffin's relationship with Southern Hills is that of a love story.
It's kind of the love of my life outside of the Lord, you know, and my wife, of course, and kids. So you just go right up the right-hand side of that bunker.
There might not be anyone who knows this course better.
Perfect.
Griffin first caddied at 11 years old in 1959. Since then, he's walked the course thousands of times.
It's just the biggest excitement you could have.
Still walking it every day, sometimes twice. That love has only grown stronger.
I love this clubhouse. I love this course. I love the history of the course. I love golf, and you just can't beat Southern Hills. Good ball.
Griffin has caddied in 6 Southern Hills majors. His first was in 1961. But even with that experience, it's never business as usual.
I love being inside the ropes, and these majors that are coming up, it's just a joy to be able to work in them.
Griffin getting ready for major number 7. What's setting up to be one of the most special events of his career.
It's going to fit in right up the top, I think, because, you know, I'm a little bit older now, so I'm kind of in the sunset years of doing this, but I'm still excited about it. And I want to do it. You just live for it.
I'll tell you, I'd never cease to be amazed week after week. I think he can't outperform that last game. And he goes out there and does something new that I've never seen him do.
Grove's Emmanuel Crawford is a rising star. 2,400 yards, 43 touchdowns in 2021 alone. But for the school's all-time leading rusher, football is much more than a sport.
Football's done a lot of things for me. I'd say one of the biggest things is probably trusting people.
For Emmanuel, trust was never something he had growing up, and home was far from Grove, Oklahoma. That story, 6,000 miles away in Ghana.
So I got sold into slavery when I was 3, and a lot of families in Ghana will sell their oldest kids so they can have enough money to at least provide for themselves and the siblings that they have.
Emmanuel, pictured here, was one of an estimated 21,000 child slaves working the fishing trade on Ghana's Lake Volta.
Bailing water out of the boat was kind of my job. And I think it's because I was so young that I probably wasn't even strong enough to pull the fishing net out of the water, but they would make you go down there to untangle it out of like the branches and stuff. And then I kind of like have like a little bit of a flashback like 2 years ago of like laying on kind of like a dirt ground in a hut, and it was raining outside. And so that's kind of a memory that I've kind of held on to. It's kind of that memory of being on the ground and kind of feeling helpless.
At just 4 years old, Emmanuel, working, weak and shivering, sat in a boat, days from death. A rescue organization, Touch a Life, saved his life.
I was out on the lake one day and we were going boat to boat, looking at stopping, talking to the masters and seeing the kids, and all of a sudden I saw this one boat where I saw this tiny little figure in the boat, and we pulled over to the boat, and there was this little 4-year-old sitting in the middle of the boat just shivering.
That is how they negotiated for him, is give us that child. He's sick, he couldn't do you any good. Let us have him.
Emmanuel got shelter and schooling. Soon, he was more alive than ever. At the same time, friends of the family who saved him were looking for a child to adopt.
He said, this one's supposed to come to the United States. And she said, there's actually a video of him.
My name is Iman. I'm 5 years old.
Oh, okay. What's this?
This eye.
What's this?
Nose.
I mean, I knew when I met him, I was like, yes, whatever it takes.
9 months later, Emmanuel came home.
It was a great relief when he finally landed here, I'll tell you.
A lot of joy, tons of joy. I haven't had a moment quite as joyful as that in my life. And so it's kind of not like the first time that I had felt God, but a moment definitely where it was like there's a greater power that has put me here to be here with this family that loves me this much.
Emmanuel's new family, parents Stan and Audrey Crawford, raised him like any other child, with toys alongside his brothers and sisters. And then along came football.
I never saw the value until I saw what it did for all my kids, but really Emmanuel, which when you see how it started building trust and changing him, I'm like, wow, that's very useful.
Trust, which Emmanuel had never gotten to experience. On the field, his parents quickly saw he had a gift.
Literally in 5th grade, like the first time he touches the ball, he's tearing down the field and nobody even close. And then you start to think, well, maybe he's got some talent.
It's just like a video game of he sees. And I'm sure that came from always watching when he was little of what his surroundings were to make sure he was safe. And it turned into a gift.
Come on, defense!
An instinct, once used for survival, now used to dominate on Friday nights. Emmanuel now driven to be his best.
I always see everything good that happens as if God has set it into motion. And so I think that the second chance is from God. God is always willing to give you a second chance.
Emmanuel has come to peace with his past, using it to appreciate what he has now and never take a day or a moment for granted.
Sadly, a lot of them don't get out like I did, whether they grow older and become slave owners or they don't make it to see adulthood because they die in the process of being a child slave. And I was very close to possibly becoming one of those kids who had passed away on the lake. And that's really driven me and pushed me because God has given me a second chance at life. And so I try my hardest not to throw it away and to impact as many people as I can with this second chance.
What an incredible young man. Well, what a story, Chris.
I mean, you talk about one of the brightest, most wonderful people that you'll meet and young men that you'll meet. And it's actually amazing because he wants to become this great football player, and he's well on his way to doing it. He is trying his best to become the best he can be at football and the best he can be in the classroom because he wants a platform to share his story, because he wants to inspire other people. And he wants to let other people know, hey, I got my second chance. You can have your second chance. You can do whatever you want with this life. Yeah. Doesn't have to be as extreme necessarily, but sometimes it's those stories that gives people hope.
Absolutely. And Chris, he really doesn't have much left from his childhood.
No, you think about, we all have baby pictures. We all have that lock of hair from our first haircut. Right. One of the first pictures of him, the first pictures of him, are those pictures of him in the boat. And so it's tough to see that, but what he has done with his second chance, and he's come to peace with that, it's just incredible what he's done with his life, and I'm so honored to be able to tell his story. Thank you to Emmanuel and your family for sharing that story with us. It was wonderful getting to know them.